All right, let's get a few things straight. Yes, it is beautiful outside, and for some reason I'm inside making music. And yes, the previous DJ edit video I made I had to discard because the edit was absolutely terrible. So in this video, we're gonna try again. I'm gonna give myself about a half an hour to come up with a hopefully not terrible DJ edit. And in the process, I'm hoping I can give you some ideas and insight about making your own DJ edits if that is something that you want to explore as a producer. So at a high level, we have the basic problem that as DJs, we have no musical talent. We play other people's music. And so for that reason, we just resample things. Big sarcasm warning there. So I've opened up a little bit of a tiny disco playlist that I have. I am ashamed that it is not bigger than it is, but for now it is what we got. So I got a couple tracks here. Kiki Jian I actually really like. And we got 24 Hours in a Disco. Wait a sec, we gotta keep this honest. All right, 32 minutes. 32 minutes, here we go. So I've heard so many disco edits with using Sexy Dancer and something else. So let's see what else we got. Cool and the Gang. It's really tricky because when you're looking for a sample, you need to cut. It's best if you can find a little section that doesn't have a kick drum in it. Otherwise, the EQing and all that stuff is kind of annoying. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, I like this. All right, it's 24 Hours in a Disco. Let's give it a shot. So we got that part. The first part about the sampling is basically you gotta find part in the track that you can loop over and over and over again. And the biggest thing with making DJ edit is you have to work fast, because the reason why you stop being able to produce music effectively and continuously is because you lose the emotional connection to it. So if you loop it too many times and you can't figure out where you're going, then you kind of get frustrated and then you lose that spark. Kind of like that. I don't know. Let's see what we can do with that. So we're going to first crop that part. And unfortunately, this does have a kick, so I haven't followed the rules that I just gave, which is bad, but forgive me. So I'm going to get that, and I got to warp it here by just bringing Ableton and the markers here. Yes, we will lose the disco swing. I do know that, but forgive me because we are going to have to add our own kick drum anyway. So get most of the things on the grid so that it sounds like it's sort of in time. And getting really good at making edits also involves you understanding how to warp things and stuff like that. So I'm gonna start by, it's got kind of like a cool violin and a guitar. So I don't know, I kind of like that, but I'm gonna pitch it up. Yeah, something weird like that. Okay, cool. And I'm a little bit crazy, so I'm gonna put the flanger all over this. I like it. I think it makes it sound disco-y. So we're gonna do that. I'm also going to add a bit of overdrive, but not too much because that can really distort the sample. The annoying thing about this is the snare is in there, so we're probably gonna have to layer on a different snare in order to make it not sound too bad. So we got that, and then let's see, we probably wanna create maybe a bass line. There's a couple samples we could grab from here. So we could grab this, and we could move over to our session view here, pull this in, and say like this is the, I don't know, starter loop, something like that. All right, so then I come back here, and then I'm gonna see if I can find something else. Yeah. Okay, we need to pull this forward a little bit. I already feel like I'm in a disco. So let's just do the same thing. Let's warp it over here and just add so that we remove our nice, beautiful disco humanness, but because we are electronic music producers, we don't care. And I'm also gonna grab this and make this into another sample here. So 24 hours. I'm just switching between the session view and the timeline view just to make things easier. I want to speed this up. So we're going to make 126 even faster. I'm going to make a little kick here just to see what can be done. And I'll come in here to my kicks. The worst experience of your life as a producer, trying to find the kick you want to use. I like this one from Production Music Live. So I'm going to grab it here and just, create a couple kicks. But don't be afraid to double it up every now and then. So we're going to do something like that and hear what that sounds like. Oh, we got to unsolo the track. Let's go back. All right, now here's where basically the clock begins. We've got kind of like a little bit of a pump going on here. So now we got to keep going. Ooh, I like that shaker. Let's go. Oh, I was caught in the groove. Can you feel it? Are you in the groove? Just gonna layer this up. Swing on the 16th. Don't know if I love that much. I'm gonna see, maybe we try just on the offbeats instead. We're gonna do that offset hi-hat position, but with a shaker. And now we just duplicate it. Oh, now it's totally off. Maybe we double it up on the last couple or something like that. So something like that. Throw a couple things in there. Gonna add some drum verb, slap delay. Now this is a technique that I learned from following Philip at Pick Yourself, and he actually came on the Beyond the Decks podcast, so make sure you check out that episode and also check out Philip's channel. I do mention him a lot, but that's because he actually has a lot of really, really great content. So in order to make your percussion sound thicker, you use a shifter, and you can add some kind of intrigue doing that. So do you hear that? I'm gonna add some echo. Now I want more thickness, so I'm gonna add in another shaker because I want to. No, we don't want to rattle. That could be kind of interesting, a shaker live vinyl. But I want to tighten this up. But I think we could almost add something fun like this. Maybe pull it out every now and then. Maybe remove our little quirky hits. Bring it down a little bit here. Shaker layer 2. I don't know why. I want to add some bells to this for some reason. Ooh, I kind of like that sound. Let's put that in there. We're also going to throw this all into the percussion. Here we go. Add in like a little glassy bell. All right, cool. Nah. I kind of just like it kind of on those little groove points right at the end. So and add in some bongos because nothing says disco like bongos. Feels like it conflicts too much. All right.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Let's make a snare happen here. A bit of saturation on this. Drive it up. Let's warm up those. Let's warm it up. Kind of feeling like something like I don't know, like a
there is no head.
Not that. I could see how it works. Let's throw it into our closed hat. Maybe it's like a 14th pattern, Something like that. Although I think this is going to be a little bit of an aggressive. Let's make it swing. So now we're gonna expand this a little bit. We got a little bit of a groove kind of going on here. Got a starter loop here. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna switch it here. See, now that we've played this back with our percussion and everything, I don't even know if I really like this. But maybe it's just the starting point of this loop. We gotta make sure. This is hard because it's so overlaid with so many instruments, so it kind of makes it a little difficult to groove right. It's a bad way to explain it, but I'm gonna add some LFO and a little bit of filter to kind of make this into kind of more of a jackin' style, whatever that means. It's a bit of a complex sample, maybe not the best choice. And let's do 65. We're gonna map it up to the filter. I'm also gonna add a compressor on the side because I wanna make this pump a little bit more. I could imagine doubling this up and then kind of creating a little break here, so let's do that. Biggest thing is we're missing a bass. Honestly, that is the biggest challenge with this track right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a bass line, we're gonna use this, but we're gonna flip things around by using an auto filter, grabbing that there, turning it around, cut below that, change around a couple parameters here. See, again, got that snare in there. This is creating some problems for us. Also, gotta get rid of the overdrive. We gotta get rid of like the flanger. What are you doing? Why are you flangering your bass? You are just out of your mind right now. Put the bass in mono. But we really gotta EQ out that kick. It's so challenging with stuff like this. But this I think actually sounds kind of interesting, to be honest. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna throw an auto filter again on the starter loop. Let's just name this like melody groove. And we're gonna color our bass black or brown, I guess. Let's see. Assign track clips. All right, cool. And what's gonna happen is on my auto filter, I'm actually gonna, first of all, I gotta really pull this down a little bit more. We need to also add a bit more warmth, a bit warmer. This might be sacrilegious because the track is already mastered, but whatever. The bass is supposed to be felt, not heard. If you don't hear it, it's because you don't have enough going on in the mid bass section. But for now, I feel like it's okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have this device filter on for the first part. Kind of like, I don't know, it reminds me of like the Shapeshifters or something. So we can't just jump into the musical idea. You gotta kind of bring it in, make it interesting. And starting with a bass is kind of interesting. Also, that means we can kind of bring our percussions, you know, like line up our percussions a little bit more, make things less intense as it starts. See how that kind of brings the energy up as we're going? Because he has 10 minutes left. Unsolo, come on. You can if you want it, like if you're nuts, a little bit nuts, kind of like me, you do something like this maybe. Here, watch this. Do it! Now you're grooving. So I'm gonna pause. Now we have to really get into the point where we get out of the loop, because if we get stuck in the loop, then we are screwed and we will not complete this track. So we actually gotta transition now. We gotta start working a little bit on the arrangement. Every producer has a different philosophy, but for me, I will know I will play this loop to the end of the earth and then I will give up. So we're gonna move into the kind of arrangement. So now we gotta kind of work our way into sort of a break of sorts. Something like this. And I might still kind of create some like peaks and valleys, you know, with this kind of just automation, just keeping it fun. Just keep to there. Something like that. Might as well complete it 4 times. We need a little bit of bottom end here. Now we need sort of something that is like gonna kind of give a bit of, adding a bit of tension into this dynamic, and that might just be like a little bit of shakers. I know we already have some shakers, but you know, why not bring another shaker to the party? Everybody loves shakers. But we also need something kind of building up here, so I'm also gonna add in, we could use some crashes. Yeah. So I'm gonna grab in this white noise kind of thing. Sounds okay. And I'm gonna bring it down here, maybe down to -15. I'm gonna wash it out a bit. I also kind of want to add in, I don't like any of these crashes, so I'm just gonna use a 909 crash. You know when you like buy a sample pack and you're just like, I don't like anything that I heard in this. This was such a waste of money. And then you just use the 909 like you've been using for the past couple of years. That's sometimes how I kind of feel, but it's okay. You know, we live and we learn. Dean, I know I haven't EQ'd this very much, but this is not a professionally built track. So here we go, I'm gonna add a bit of slap delay. Okay, so coming out of this. So back to this break. We also do need a bit of like a wash. You know, you can do kind of fun things like this too, where you're like, something like this, where we do like a kick on each one, kind of building up to the thing. If I had some like nice toms or something, I might do something like that as well. I'm also gonna go ahead and, those shakers are way too loud. We have to really like bring those back. Oof, that's kind of gonna work. Bring it down with an EQ and then kind of bring it into that euphoric state and then do this. I know we haven't used the other vocal yet, and who knows, maybe we won't use the other vocal, but for now, we're just gonna roll with this and see kind of where we get, see where it takes us. Honestly, a lot of the times the DJ edits, when you start making them, you have no idea where you're going. You have no idea what direction it's gonna take you, and you can just start emerging and discovering kind of a bunch of new things. Sometimes you spend like 40 minutes with one sample and you're like, this sample sucks. And then you choose a different sample and you're like, oh, this is great. Like, this is exactly what I wanted. So, these are loud, there's like nothing else going on here, so we kind of need to also bring some of our maybe hits in here, our little, not snares, but our closed hats. But even that sounds kind of bare. It just feels like these shakers need to be really low so they're not so obvious. Maybe we can add in our, I might do something like this, I might bring in the shakers, just do a little bit of mixing here. Don't yell at me. I think that's coming down a bit too much. I think that's probably one of the problems that we have here is it's just a little bit too low, so we kind of lose some of that energy, especially during the break. All right, we are gonna need to extend our track time here. We've only got 3 minutes left, so we can come up with. I kind of, something in me is telling me to do the following, which is like, kind of bring this back, bring this here, extend this. Not entirely, we need to kind of have a little bit more of that energy, but then we're gonna bring it down before we go into the vocal here. And I want maybe a crash. See, we're gonna move into that, and it's gonna be a little bit strange because we kind of need to drop off entirely so that we can bring and build this back up entirely. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this kind of little sweep here to give me a little bit air cover while we transition into that, because it's gonna be a little bit jarring. See how that kind of changes the vibe a little bit? Gonna bring back our shakers. So part of me wants to kind of pull everything out and just like that caught in the groove part, really like accentuate and make it just glamorous and super high, and then drop back into everything again here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see maybe if there's a way that I could automate the overdrive but make it not sound awful. We've got our kick in here, and we're gonna need to place a marker, I think, here, add locator, drop 2, and we're gonna move our kick back here. Drop 2 should be here. Yeah, maybe we don't take the bass out on that case because it kind of feels like it really loses a lot of momentum there. So I'm gonna use the same crash here, like that. I'm gonna bring over all my elements again. Maybe it's gonna be upset with me, so I'm gonna cancel that. We're gonna give ourselves another 10 minutes. 10 minutes of this track at most, and then see where we land here. So kind of bring that back, but then I really want to supersize this for some reason. Like I want to add a bunch of echo and stuff to it so that it feeds back and it kind of has this. This might be a big risk maneuver, but you know, we'll see what happens. This is music after all, right? Let it breathe for a little bit because we want that echo that I'm imagining, but don't know if it'll actually work, to sound here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the device echo, because I kind of want to make it like into this big crash. I might even add some reverb as well. Let's see kind of what that might sound like. Something like that, right? And then we want to kind of we need to, at that point, need to cut kind of the feedback happening so that we don't elongate it anymore. Because that's when the big hit is going to happen, and then we want to obviously drop back into our little edit thingy. So it kind of sounds okay, but I might add a bit of reverb as well. So I'm going to come in here, same thing. I'm going to keep the device off for most of the time. Switch that. Keep it off for most of the time. Turn it on really briefly. Give a little bit of those reflections, and then we're going to bring the dry wet down as we go from there as well. So let's just hear what that sounds like with the. I feel like we need a bigger slap of a crash. It's pretty big. That's pretty big crash. So we'll do that. Just kind of bring the bass down a little bit here, just to emphasize the sweetness of that vocal. So here we go. I'm going to bring it down. I don't know if this is going to sound amazing, but I'm willing to try just to see. This is a lot of things. You just experiment. We need almost like a little bit of a ride hit just to accentuate the tallness of that peak. So we'll use something like that maybe. Keep it washed out as well. Give it a ton of reverb. Let's see that. Yeah. All right. Let's listen to this back. We might even put the, I don't know yet. I might substitute back in this starter loop that I had. Just adding in back the kicks that I removed by accident. Kind of have this really nice melody too in there. Missing our closed hats here. So I might let that go for 4 times and then switch back to our little, starter loop here. Again, create that air cover for ourselves here. And then, this is kind of a little bit of maybe depends on a different producer style, but one thing I really like to do is I like to create like these little voxes with the track. This is a very kind of like I think I learned it from listening to a lot of Henry Street music tracks, where you kind of just create these like little quick voxes using a ton of echo and reverb and everything, and then you just sort of hit with these basic stabs. So we would do something like this. We would turn on our hybrid reverb, for example. We would turn on our echo, and we'd make it a little bit crazy, probably drive it up to like almost 50%, turn on the device, and you'll kind of hear, we're gonna be able to create these like little kind of stabs that are fun. Something like that, you can then, something like that. And I think for some reason that this will sound kind of decent here. Oh. And you can do something like this. We're gonna get we need one more sample here as we're gonna move into that. And then probably gonna wanna drop into the drop around, pull up these glassy bells, give it room to run one more time, and then we bring in everything. And then, yeah, we would just conclude the track. Basically, one more kind of bigger push, and then basically kind of done. And I kind of want like this vox right here where, yeah, like I was caught in a groove, something like that. And then from this point on, we're just going to need to remove elements. Maybe some of the shakers. Oh, we've also lost our bass, unfortunately, here. Probably want to end on this. And yeah, we just kind of pull everything out and complete the track. Okay, so we basically got it. And let's go ahead, we'll play back the track. And because I have no idea how to mix and master, I just use a very stock chain from a production music live video that I like. And we'll just make it sound louder and better and good, whatever that means to whoever is the production music police. And now we've finished, so no more time. We've got 40 minutes that we've used to produce, so let's hear what this sounds like. And I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. Really all this mastering chain does is increase the volume a lot, clip some peaks, and then it does a little bit of multiband compression and, you know, a little bit of punch and sustain, etc. So just, in my head, it just makes things sound good without me having to work too hard. The kick is a little loud. Same with our hats here. I'm just gonna do a couple little glue compression things. add some parallel compression. This is very loud. But those closed hats kind of make part of the track. Got our little second vocal coming in here. Closed hats are a bit loud, but we didn't really do any mix. This is where some of our Vox stuff kind of comes in, makes things interesting. Allows us also the cover to switch back over to the starter loop, re-engage the intrigue in the track. There's a nice synthesis between the shakers and the way that we've done our drum programming on the closed hat that makes it kind of pump a little bit. There's more work could be done, but and that's basically it. You know, so in 45 minutes, we've gone from a basic sample in our library to making kind of a fun little re-drum / re-edit that is a lot of fun, you know? And doing these kinds of edits is things that I love to do personally, just whenever I hear a really cool sample. And it's always a fun challenge to see, can you get better at warping, and can you get better at, you know, your musical intuition about when do things need to switch? And overall, there's tons of work that could be done on mixing and mastering, but I leave that to the audio engineers. And for now, we just work on what we got. So if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Please leave me some feedback other than your track sucks, and let me know what other videos and things that you'd love to see on this channel. So for now, this has been Robert with learningtodj.com, and you are learning the art and skill of musical influence.